Welcome, everybody. This is the Art Economist, and I am very happy to have this interview with one of the most prolific indie creators of the modern era, from making Friday Night Funkin' mods to solo hits, and eventually now as a person who is on the front for Glitch Productions. We have bbpanzu. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, thank you for having me on. I'm Ponzu. Um, I'm an animator, musician, sometimes as a hobbyist. Sometimes I dabble in like other things. I make comics sometimes, but at the end of the day, I like making cartoons.
Yeah. And a lot of people know you from, your big stuff, right? From your Homestuck animations, from your mods, and from your music videos. But I think I have a burning question for you. And to just start this off, when I would like for you to open my stream, because this is actually very important to me.
Okay.
If this will actually load up. Wonderful. There it is. So I'm sharing this to you. I do have to ask, right?
Give me a second.
No problem.
Isn't loading.
I do have to ask. Oh my god.
There it is. Oh wow.
Yeah. when are we getting Dead Alive episode 2, man?
That shit is not dropping anytime soon. I'm gonna tell you that. Holy shit.
Yeah, when are we meeting Dead Alive? Can we get a backstory on Dead Alive? This was back in 2016.
Yeah. Yeah, I could talk about Dead Alive. This is the first time.
I'm not gonna lie, you kind of roboted out.
Back in middle school. Oh shoot.
Nah,
hello.
Yeah,
All right.
I can cut it out.
Let me adjust. There we go. Yeah. So Dead Alive was a project that I was making with a couple friends of mine back in middle school. The idea was made by an ex. I guess it's appropriate to call her an ex, even though it's back in middle school. But they had
Crazy
this idea they had this idea. It was pretty much just like The Walking Dead, but with her as the main character, and then like I was in it, and then our other friend was in it, and then my little brother was in it. But yeah, it was basically just like, I guess, like a Walking Dead clone, all written by her, just animated and programmed by me.
That's your first project as a composer on Newgrounds, actually.
Oh wow. Really?
Yeah, back in 2016, over a decade ago at this point.
Oh shit. I could have sworn I did like more, or maybe that was my first one on Newgrounds. But yeah. Yeah, I dabbled in a little bit of the music, mostly because I was like the only one in the friend group that could do anything besides write. So I was pretty much responsible for pretty much the whole shebang. And it didn't continue, obviously, because we were in middle school, and half the friend group kind of split off anyway. So but then like we just kind of outgrew it as soon as high school hit. So we didn't really do nothing with that.
Yes.
But that's pretty much the story of Dead Alive. It wasn't my project, but I was definitely like a big help in it.
Alrighty. So let's start this off with Big Jersey, right? You've spent years in the community, right? Friday Night Funkin', modding community, making massive hits, right? But Big Jersey was like your first full original webcomic series featuring your characters in their own standalone universe, right? And I just wanted to ask, what was that specific point where that made you think that, alrighty, I can't just be a modder anymore. I have to start my own thing with my own universe and shit.
Um, the universe, I think it didn't split before I decided to take it to a comic. The universe actually, I guess, split off. Sounds more like it's a multiverse shit, but really it's just like when I wanted to take it to like a more like personal route,
Mm-hmm.
like less based off of FNF, was when I was trying to make Carol V3. Um, you can, I know I posted the soundtrack on my YouTube, but on like the stuff literally after the interlude, is kind of the quote unquote big Jersey continuity. And that was just mostly me wanting to like give Carol a deal outside of FNF because at the
Mm-hmm.
time before then, Carol was just a Friday Night Funkin' OC who was friends with the girlfriend and who used to date Whitty in a canonical sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of what she was so attached to things that wasn't me that like she would almost fade into like obscurity just based off of like whatever properties that she was attached to. Like I remember thinking back in the day, um like I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with Carol. Like I was like inches away from just making Carol public domain because I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do with Whitty's girlfriend? And even before then, she wasn't even Whitty's girlfriend. She was just some girl that I was attracted to. Like, I just drew up a girl I was attracted to, and that was pretty much her whole deal. So
That's crazy work.
yeah, I think it was only recently. It was only recently that I was like, let me give Carol, something to work with, and it was basically just like Sunday's universe, the Big Jersey, I guess, continuity, and I
Mm.
didn't take it to like its own story until maybe I think like either like 6 months or a year after I came up with Carol V3. Um, I think that's when I pretty much wanted to make it its own thing. And before then, it was going to be like an animated series, but that would require relying on a lot of people who are not me. And
Mm.
it was such a big story that I kind of wanted to tell that I didn't want to wait on everyone else to tell it. So I was like, let me just do it as a comic. I only need me and only me. I can draw the characters. I can make them say all the dialogue, and that's pretty much where I wanted to take it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really interesting. Second question, right? Let's talk about Slayer. More importantly, your music, you blew up with various songs like Bang 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 and Spit It Out, completely took the internet by storm. And I just have to ask, right, were you like surprised at the algorithmic reaction to it? Like, did you really expect it to become that big?
Um, Not really. No, I think sorry, Spit It Out. I don't know if I told this one, but I think yeah, Spit It Out, like the instrumental was done like a year before release. Like I just had it sitting in my computer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because I was toying around with the sample by Biddle 3, and I made like a song. I made a little bit of the lyrics, but then I didn't really do anything with the song then because I was expecting like to find maybe a singer to sing on it, but then I just didn't do that. And then one day I just decided to come back to it. Let me just use vocal, let me just use the synth fee or whatever, and just make a quick little music video with some of my friends, and then put it out just to get it out. I remember I teased it at first before actually dropping the music video,
Mm-hmm.
and the song hadn't released yet.
Yeah.
So I saw a bunch of people in the quote retweets in the comments saying like, "Wait, what's this song? I can't find this song." I use like Shazam, and I generally cannot find the song. It doesn't exist anywhere. And then I was like, "Oh wow, people generally want this song." So I made the music video really fast, and then posted it, and it got like got like 1 million views. I think it's at like 4 million. It blew up. It blew up pretty great, and I was pretty happy that everyone loved the song.
Yeah.
For Bang Bang, that one I think blew up way bigger than I thought it would, than I had ever anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told this. I think I told the story in my behind the scenes video, but I'll just summarize it real quick. But yeah, I was scrolling on. I was scrolling. Yeah, I was scrolling on Instagram Reels, and I saw a really nice catchy sample by Jack Where You At, and it was like a sample this video. So I was like, okay, let me give it a challenge. Let me sample this and make something cute. And then in my mind, I was like, Chainsaw Man song. And then that was also a similar case where it was just kind of sitting dormant for a couple weeks, couple months, until
Mm-hmm.
I got some people on it, and then I did another preview. The preview also blew up like crazy. And so I just expected it to do like bang bang or I just expected it to do like spit it out numbers, so maybe 1 million or two at most, or just just something cool or whatever. And then once I posted it on YouTube, it wasn't on Spotify yet because I had like big troubles. But once it was on YouTube, it like got like a crazy amount of views, and
Yeah.
a lot of people were loving the song. And then once I finally got it onto Spotify, which was a really huge trouble in itself, the song pretty much skyrocketed like crazy. Still scares me to this day, which is partially why I'm not like distancing myself away from the song, but I'm not actively attaching myself to the song, just because I like to let the song do its thing so I can
Mm-hmm.
focus on other things. I have my like distributors who will deal with whatever the song does. So if they want to if they want to expand on it, they can expand on it. But as far as me, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
watching it as it skyrockets.
Yeah, that's great. So I was just, asking my good friend Matthew, and apparently you knew his birthday. And basically there's this game on your page, I think it was called Matthew's Birthday. You play as Matthew, and you go, and your gift is to get some cologne, Dead Inside. I mean, you made that back in 2017, and what I really noticed was the sort of like Homestuck-esque art style and inspiration that I particularly noticed, where it was your birthday and you get a present from your dad. Where did like Homestuck start really influencing your work?
It's really interesting because my history with Homestuck is very it's very short. I like to think it's very recent, right?
Really?
I was introduced to the concept of Homestuck by my said ex-girlfriend back in middle school. Um, I didn't know anything about it. I
Damn, you were
couldn't
reading
quite
Homestuck in middle school?
comprehend what it. No, I didn't read it. I didn't read
Oh.
it. I didn't even bother LARPing it either. I just kind of I like opened the page. I knew about whatever the trolls were. I didn't know anything too much about the trolls. I just knew that trolls existed. I
Mm-hmm.
opened up the Homestuck page. I clicked around and I was like, okay, it's like a video game, but I'm reading. And then I closed out of it. But
Yeah.
I think what kind of got me, I wouldn't say hooked, but more interested, was Hive Swap. And
Hive Swap,
I
really?
played, yeah, I watched Jacksepticeye play Hive Swap, and the only reason I cared about it was because Toby Fox was in it, and so I was like, okay, well, if it's Toby Fox is in it, I gotta see what the deal is.
That's
And I
radiation.
think, yeah, I think at the time that's the most I've ever been into Homestuck as a franchise, but it wasn't much. It was generally just I liked the music, I liked the characters, I liked wherever the story was going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I liked the point and click kind of thing that it had going on, and I think that's what inspired Matthew's Birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but like after that, I think I didn't really get into Homestuck from then on. I think from then I tried like reading the Let's Reads.
Hmm.
I tried consuming it like passively, like on the side to see if I was just gonna get into it like that, but it didn't work until college when my
Yeah.
um when my friend Crow, yo, it's Crow, the the founder of
Re-
the Homestuck
Woo,
online community.
that's
Yeah.
its whole whoa. Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. So they begged me to get into Homestuck so that I could work on their Riska mod, which didn't come out. But I basically just kind of read it just to do some research, and I was like, okay, let me do some research. And I put on the Let's Read as I did like my school assignments, and I got really far, and I didn't get hooked until like the Dave versus Bro fight. And I think that's when I pretty much like solidified me as a fan. I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick with this for a long time.
Hmm.
And so that was like 2022, like end of 2022. I think that's when I really got into Homestuck. So I like to
Yeah.
consider myself a new gen because that's 2022, but I know
Same
like it
here.
was only
Same
like
here.
2 years since it was like 2 years at that time. It was like 2 years since the last Hive swap update. So
Yeah.
I know the community was still doing stuff.
Hmm. So, before I ask my next question, I actually have a gift for you. Really.
Mm,
So, I noticed, right? Are you familiar with Rain Brony on Tumblr?
I am. I am familiar with Rain Brony on
And
Tumblr.
I noticed that apparently you really liked Dave Nep. So I commissioned a friend to have Dave Nep fan art made, right?
Oh, that's cute.
Now I have
That's
to
really
ask,
sweet.
why do you like Dave Nep so much? I noticed you were doing requests of it in what, early 2023?
Yeah. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Dave Nep, it was one of those earlier ships where I was like, yeah, this dynamic could be really cute, but I wouldn't put it as my OTP. I wouldn't even put it as my like top 20. I'm not even gonna lie. But
Damn,
I
top 20
did kind of
crazy
like
work.
I didn't even I think at the time it just kind of reminded me of like me and my partner. So I was pretty much
Ah,
just projecting that. And so I was like, oh yeah, I like Dave Nip. It seems like a cute
mhm.
idea. It's I call it my rare pair because these I don't think these people have ever interacted. Oh wait, no, they did.
They
Because
did.
it became Dave Peta at the end.
Yes,
That
they
was
did.
funny. I don't think I got to that part in the comic when I was like doing Dave Nap, so that was really funny.
That is
Um,
hilarious. Speaking of, actually, now that you bring it up, who's your top five? All right, let's start in five
top
all
five
time.
ships.
Yeah, start in five all time.
Top. Okay. Top five Homestuck ships. Um, I'm gonna put Dave Jade up on number one, just
Number
because
one.
I love Dave Jade. It has a very special place in my heart. I won't pretend it's like the best, most awesomest ship ever, but it it resonates with me greatly.
Mm,
Dave Jade. Um,
number two.
Number two, I'm gonna have to go with John. Or what's it called? It's called
Mm,
Spider Breath, right? Yeah, Spider Breath.
yeah,
Spider Breath is pretty
Spider Breath.
cool. They did it pretty good in the comic that I liked it. What else? What else? What else? Rosemary's pretty good. Rosemary's pretty good. I'd say I'd put it at number three. I think
All right,
it's
number three.
honestly pretty solid.
Okay.
I have to really think. I have to really think. Um, my last two. My last two. I'll put Jade Cat on number 5, just
Mm.
because it was one of my favorite ships before Dave Jade.
Hmm.
But number 4, I think would probably just be like Roxygen. Yeah,
Mm. No Dave
yeah.
Cat.
Dave Cat's it's pretty good. It's pretty all right. It's pretty all right. It doesn't resonate with me as much as I thought it would. Like I get the appeal, but
Mm.
yeah.
Alrighty. All right. Let's talk glitch. Apparently you got signed, W record label or whatever, and I have to ask, uh, how did Glitch contact you, or did you contact Glitch? What's the whole story and situation beyond that thing?
I have to be really careful because I'm under NDA.
Oh
But
shit, my
I
bad,
can
bro.
I can still
Nah, nah.
that's okay. I can still answer this without breaching anything. I'll have to summarize it like very, very vaguely though. But I
Okay,
was I was reached out to um by one of the showrunners,
okay,
and then I was reached out to Glitch themselves
okay.
very very soon after. And so they wanted me on as like a rough animator,
Mm.
and I was really excited.
Yeah.
So um yeah, they gave me a call, they showed me around, and then I got started like pretty fast, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
didn't take too long to onboard me, but that's as much as I can say. That's as much as I can say
Okay. Yeah. No
without
worries. No
without
worries. I'm not gonna press further on that.
yeah. Yeah, no
No.
worries.
No breach here. No breach here. Speaking of, you do go by Rain Brony in many of your social media accounts. Are you a brony?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
I do identify with the term brony. I know people have distanced themselves from the term brony, but I do identify with it. I've identified with it since I was 9, which is ironic because, well, I wouldn't say I was a target audience because I was a 9-year-old boy, not a 9-year-old girl, but even still, I
Yeah.
I the term meant a lot to me because it meant someone who isn't afraid to like what they like, regardless of whatever societal norms may dictate. So I
Yeah.
was I was a brony. I still am a brony. I love the show My Little Pony. I still love it to this day.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I'll still call myself a brony, despite the unsavorable connotation to the name.
Mm. Yeah. Speaking of, I think that's a part of your work, right? Especially, you made that Slayer animation, and the internet was in an uproar about it. What was your reaction to the
Mm.
whole situation, if I could ask?
So, when the song dropped that
Yeah.
night, I was excited, because when I heard the song at the first time, he Slayer teased it on a stream, and I saw it not on stream, but like 2 days later. I was just watching one of his like his showing unreleased streams, and I was like, listening to it as I was working. And then I heard Bird Brain just out of a sudden, and my ears pricked up like a Neko Cat Girl, and I was like, wait, I know that one. And so from that day forward, I was just listening to just like the Frankenstein snippets that people would put up on YouTube, and just like listen to that. And then once the song dropped, I was like, okay, I want to show some love to this. So I very quickly like made a little animation with like Slayer and like my Teto design based off of. I drew that Teto design before, when I first discovered Slayer.
Mm.
I think it was like a couple weeks or a couple months. Yeah, it was like a couple weeks after he dropped his Blood Lux album, and I heard Died and Came Back. So I was like, No, Died But came back. Died and came back. I always forget. No, yes, Died But came back. And I heard Teto on that song too. So I was like, let me make a Teto design based off that song. And it was just a zombie Teto who died but came back. um, so I used that design in my little animation. So
Mm-hmm.
I just made like a simple little loop just to show love, and then I posted it on social media. Um, I tagged them in, just to show that hey, I love your work. I've been loving your work. And then, the first couple comments obviously were like very, very supportive, very, very positive, reviews of the animation and the song. At the time everyone was in love with the song. Everyone was dancing to it. Everyone was, hyping it up. It was at the time it was like the best thing since sliced bread. And then
Mm-hmm.
but then you had like, a couple of, detractors that would come in and be like, people genuinely like the song, and I'll be like, whatever, let them comment whatever they want to
But
comment.
chill.
And then I saw like, I saw a comment saying like, you know, who knew these YNs could make such good music or something like that. And it had like the little cane gif dancing. And if I'm being honest, I
That
could
shit was
tell
bait,
that it
bro.
was just like that shit was ironic. That shit was a troll, right? I could tell because the cane gif was way too obvious.
Yeah,
The
it
cane
was
gif was way
incredibly
too obvious.
obvious.
It
I
was
know
very
exactly which
obvious.
comment you're talking about.
Yeah, and so I saw that and I just ignored it because I was like, whatever.
It's
I'm not
bait,
gonna give
dude.
that attention, right? Because I'm not gonna give a troll attention. Lo and behold, I see the
Everybody.
exact same screenshot on my Twitter timeline. I'm like, oh wow, that's awkward. And then I see it sent to me by my brother, and I was like, oh wow, that's even more awkward and embarrassing. And then like my friends start telling me like, yo, this comment is making rounds, bro, and it's got your animation in it. I'm like,
Fuck.
wow, that's that's embarrassing. But then ever since that screenshot of that comment like made its rounds around the net, everyone decided they wanted to be a comedian and comment the exact same thing, like it was going to be funny if it was going to be funny if they said it too. And so the next comments since then have just been just people wanting to either ironic detractors or trolls, or maybe there are just genuine racists in the comments. Regardless, it was very negative vibes, and everyone saw it, and everyone was like, "Oh, these Vocaloid fans, look how fucking racist they are, ruining the genre and everything." And
Yeah.
yeah, it was a very lame atmosphere at the time
Yeah.
because it got so bad that like Slayer took the song off his set list for like mid tour, and that it was that bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's sorry. Do you mind if
no,
I?
continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, right? Especially like this aspect of the internet, right? Where people will take a straw man, right? And then use
Hmm.
that straw man to just, make their voice heard, whatever, use it for internet clout. That stuff is obvious, right? But then
Right.
we have people basically creating their whole sort of cinematic universe around this very obviously bait comment. Because if we treat it like it
Right.
is, and if we treat it like it is what it is, which it's bait, we all knew it was bait, we could obviously
Hmm.
sit here and be like, oh, well, it's bait. We can just like ignore it type shit. You know what I'm saying? But,
Right.
right, the thing is that it wasn't even about your animation, which was the funny thing, right? Um,
Right.
right. It's people wanting to troll and get viral, right? And it did. It succeeded very well. And I noticed this all the time where people will happily take something that's clearly read to just be ironic and just be un to be like not serious, and will take it completely seriously if it fits their agenda, right? Because like, the popular hate bandwagon at the time was like, the Amazing Digital Circus and whatnot, right? And if we treat the comment entirely seriously, well, we can profit off of that hate train. And then it's
Right.
people then profiting off of, the Vocaloid fan train and the TADC hate train, and then you have other people now making comments talking about how the people on the hate train are somehow now representative of the entire community, and therefore it's like bad, and it's like, what?
Yeah. Like like to me, I really knew it was bait because I've dabbled in the
Been on around
Vocaloid
the internet.
scene. I've seen
Yeah,
I've seen what true fandomite racism looks like, and they would not admit to liking Slayer's music. A racist
exactly.
would not admit to liking Slayer's music, right? So I kind of knew that whole thing was the bit, but I think people who already this is during the time when Slayer was getting a lot of hate for just
Being a
being
black
corny,
guy,
being a corny nerd,
like,
being a
like
corny black nerd. So a lot of people kind of it's. I guess I can go on this rant, huh? Yeah, this is
no,
my
no,
space to
you
go on this
can,
rant.
you can,
Okay.
you can. I don't care if this shit gets
Yes. Okay.
demonetized, bro.
All right. I'm gonna sound like I'm yapping like shit, right? Okay.
Nah, bro, go for it,
So
bro.
okay. So Slayer is very known for being young, black, and a nerd. Like he's very open about it, right?
Yes.
You don't just put freaking synthy on your freaking song and then not say you're a nerd. He likes a bunch of corny nerd shit. He's not what a lot of people in the underground deem as like cool or like people are hating on him for being fat, for not having cool fits, but it's like
Biggie
we're
was
listening to
fat.
music, bro. We're not, yeah, all that stuff. And so when he does this song with Vocaloid, being unapologetically just you know nerdy, right? You have these
Yeah.
people who want to be funny guys and be like, yeah, this freaking music is so corny that a freaking or like they'll pair corniness or nerdiness to whiteness. And
Yes.
so when you do that, that's why you get like the idea that, oh, a Vocaloid fan who likes this corny shit would probably be so white that they wouldn't even be cut dead listening to his other stuff. So you have these comments saying like, I wouldn't normally listen to YN music, and it's like, and so then you get these trolls, and you got these ironic people, blasting that off, and then you see you also have these same people seeing these ironic comments, but they're not going to clock it as ironic because then it would go against the agenda that Slayer makes music for corny white people. So they take these comments and say like, these are Vocaloid fans. These are the fans that Slayer is attracting. He's bringing these types of people into the community. These white clan racists, and when Slayer sees this, right? I've been in his shoes, right? Very similarly during his
Obviously,
age.
obviously.
You see a bunch of these comments, and you see these types of people that you're seemingly attracting, and your first gut instinct is to distance yourself away from those people, and so you end up kind of trying to erase it like it didn't exist, or just distance yourself away from it, and then like almost denounce your own art simply because of the types of people it attracted versus like denouncing those people themselves.
Yeah.
um yeah.
Uh oh. If I could
Oh
like
wait,
get like
yeah, okay, sorry, yeah, you go.
yeah, if I could just get like really woke for a second here, right? I think this is like one
Hmm.
of like the biggest like aspects of like white privilege. Yeah. Where
Hmm.
right, where everybody thinks, right, where it's like white privilege, where, oh, we think that white people are exceptional, right? But really, the true mark of white privilege is the fact that mediocrity, right, or traits like, corniness, being a nerd, gets coded as white as the default. Yeah. Where
Right.
people can't comprehend the fact that a black person may be a nerd, which is so strange because there's an entire like history of black people being nerds, especially when it comes into comics and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
part of white privilege is being seen as like the default for everything, right? Where people can't
Right.
comprehend the fact that a corny, nerdy black person exists because they think that all black people, they must be all low income and live in the ghetto. When really,
Right.
if you live in an area like Slayr lives in, right? I lived in the area that Slayr lives in, right? A very cushy suburb. There's a lot of nerdy
Right.
black individuals, right? And it kind of
Mm-hmm.
just and it kind of really made me change my view, right? Where, I thought that white privilege was like, oh, simply stuff like, oh, you get picked more because you're racist or whatever. But the true mark of white privilege is the fact that you can be mediocre and have it be fine, right? When you're a black person, you
Right.
can't be mediocre because then it's not black excellence. You can't be corny because, you're pulling in all the bad white people or whatever. And
Right.
it's so interesting how we keep seeing this again and again and again, where people will just codify things that are corny as things that are white. And I think that's really, and I think that's really how, you know, institutions basically enforce a white default, even when the institutions aren't there when it comes to, underground and independent media.
Right. Yeah, it's very strange. I think a similar thing. I talked about it with my friend Eddie, but a similar thing happened. I think with Lucy Bedrock. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure if Lucy said anything about it or did anything about it, but I know there was like this little meme going around where you know there was like this people talking about subsection, like the subsection of Lucy fans who only liked his older, more softer, more lovely sound versus his, how they say, quote unquote, rage slop. And there was like this joke that the subsection of his fans were like these corny, soft white people who liked Lucy when he wasn't making hashtag YN music. And I'm sure those people exist, and I'm sure they projected a lot of that onto Slayer. But it is a little frustrating seeing that you can't have these black artists who can be diverse in whatever sound that they're trying to do, even if the sound isn't the norm in the underground scene. And I think a lot of it is also like people self-projecting these these boxes of like a black creative onto like these people in the underground scene. So like these people, you have to make quote unquote black music where it's rage or it's hip hop, and there's nothing wrong with any of those genres or anyone who makes those genres or anyone who primarily makes those genres exclusively. But it's almost like anyone who treads outside of that is is trying to be white or is attracting a white audience, or if they did happen to attract a white audience, that's somehow like betraying your blackness or betraying your black fans. And I just don't think it has to be that way. I think you know the best thing to be as a black artist is diverse in your sound, because you have to be you. And that's pretty much why I loved Slayer when I first heard him, was because freaking Bloodlux was pretty much my first impression of him. And if this Slayer guy is a guy who loves Rage and Sonic Colors and Vocaloid and freaking EDM, hyperpop, and hip hop and stuff like that, then I like this guy. This he lays his inspirations and his influences on his sleeve, and he's like one of the most realist artists out there. And I think a lot of more artists just need to start being real versus trying to conform into these boxes that they set for themselves, or these audiences should stop trying to conform these artists to these boxes that they're trying to set to these artists.
Right. Yeah. And what's so interesting, right, is that like, right, and I notice this all the time, right? The people that are making
Mhm.
these complaints aren't even black like 70% of the time. Like it is genuinely,
Mm.
like I don't know why I noticed this, right? Because I don't listen to that much underground stuff, right? But when I do, right, I noticed that like no matter the artist, right, it's like a majority like white thing, right? And I'm not saying that
Right.
underground music is like this majority white thing. Of course not. It's just so interesting that like white people will police black artists for not being black enough, and right, especially when I think about like, oh, the racist music fan, right, like the racist pop fan, I don't think about like this like barely non-metaphorical creature of like, oh, I usually don't like this YN music type people. It's the people who only listen to that fucking white people venom and cinnamon venom and vitamin rap, that fucking venom shit, bro. Right?
Right.
The Eminem clones, right?
Right.
Like we're talking about the people who listen to like Tom McDonald, Dax, and Hobson in that order.
Right.
Yeah. And it's so interesting how people will genuinely just make a fictional thing that doesn't exist, right? That doesn't exist in like real life. Literally just an internet native creature, and then attack it as if it was real, you know?
Right.
Because, like, let's be honest now. An actual racist is not going to listen to underground rap, let alone a black
Exactly.
underground rap artist, let alone fucking Slayer, my nigga. Like,
Right.
like, like the Venn diagram of like racist people and people who listen to Slayer, they're two different circles, right? And I
Yeah.
noticed this, yes, all the time, right? Where it's like, oh, funny guys, these white queer people, they're all so racist, and it's like, bro, who are these people? Like, who are you surrounding
Right.
yourself with that you constantly interact with these types of individuals all the time? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
It's yeah. Continue.
it's absurd, yes. I think it's that one image, right? Oh, it's like, oh, I love queer people, but I don't like black people. And I'm like, let's think about this, right? Let's think about this. Where do you see this, right? And I know people in the comments are gonna be like, TADC fans, and it's like, what, bro? They when did we lose like the art of hating shit, man? Back in the day,
Right.
you could hate shit because it was corny. You could have hated shit
Right.
because it was lame, and that was a valid thing. I don't like TADC because it's lame. I think it's corny, and we're all good with that. But nowadays, everybody has to make some moral reason to hate shit. Where, oh my
That
god,
should. Yeah. That 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 is a sentiment. I don't know how recent a sentiment that is, but it is a common sentiment where like people have to find like this moral reason to hate something, because to them it's like personally hating it isn't enough. Like they almost feel wrong to hate something personally, but like it's okay. I remember I said this online. I don't know if it got flack or some people took it out of context, but I was like, it's okay to hate. It's okay to hate someone for being annoying, right? That is
yeah,
perfectly okay. You don't have. They don't have to. You don't have to find some some more reason to figure out why you hate them, which is why I remember I've said this before, like the worst thing you can do on the internet is be annoying,
Be
because
annoying,
everything
yeah.
else will follow from that. Um, and like I'm sure there are white queers who are racist and are probably also in the scene, but you know,
There's no way that
just
can be the
don't
majority of
don't
people
drag
that you
it.
meet. Like,
Yeah, no, it's definitely not the majority. And in terms of like, yeah, it's like it does seem like at the time people were trying to find like this moral reason to hate on Slayer's fan base, or to hate on like Vocaloid music or whatever. Um, which, at the time, people were just saying, "Oh, it sounds burger," and ironically, as freaking lame as a critique that is, at the end of the day, it's not a critique. It's genuinely just someone's opinion. They just think something sounds lame. That's fine, right? If
yeah,
if if you think a sound is lame, that's perfectly fine. You're within your right to. You're valid for hating something if you think it's lame. You don't have to have a moral reason to hate it. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be secretly racist for you to hate it. It doesn't have to be somewhat bigoted for you to hate it. It doesn't have to be problematic for you to hate it. It can just be lame, and that's okay.
yeah.
Um, like I remember, I guess similar to the Digital Circus, right? Um, it's really funny because at the time it was really big, but also it's a corny show, and a lot of people don't like that corny shit, which
Yeah.
is which is fine. Um, but then the stuff with the voice actors when that came out,
Bro, that was the most
I started
nothing
seeing
burger shit of all time, bro. I'm not gonna
it
lie,
was
dude.
nothing. It was nothing. I think the situation itself, like, or at least not the allegation, the accusations themselves, whatever the voice actors did, in the grand scheme of things, is genuinely nothing. Like the
Like,
worst thing they
actually
did was laugh
nothing.
at what sounded like
The
the
N
N-word.
word.
So it's very bizarre seeing people call Gooseworks a racist because she she also, what, I don't know what she did, but
But
it
no, no,
wasn't
the
it wasn't on
craziest
that
thing.
scale.
My apologies. But I remember like the craziest thing, right? It was like 6 years ago. Everybody was laughing at like Eggman nigga, that fucking meme, right? So
Exactly, right.
like we have to realize N-word pass was like 2018, like that era, right? Where it was
Hmm.
just funny to joke about that shit. Was it wrong? Absolutely. That N-word pass shit was
Yeah,
incredibly corny and racist, but that doesn't mean that they're fucking clan members.
exactly.
Like,
Like, it was really funny because the way that like the voice actors handled the situation was probably like the best I've seen it handled before. Like, one, I first heard of the situation through their own tweets, and I didn't have to scour through their quote retweets in order to get some context. Like, they pretty much just provided everything that they did, and they didn't like sugarcoat it. They said that they pretty much laughed for a minute straight at a word that sounded like the N word, and yeah, as that is indicative of some racial bias, obviously. But at the end of the day, this was what, 2019, 2020. It was around
dude, I think it
that
was like
time.
7 years ago.
You know,
Yeah, it
they
was like 2019.
yeah, they've clearly haven't done anything of the sort, since. And the fact that they apologized for it obviously means that, those aren't the same people. So I wouldn't, I personally wouldn't call them racist for it. If not, I probably wouldn't call them racist for that, right? Because
Yeah,
because if that's enough, if laughing at what sounds like the N word is enough to be considered racist, then everyone I know is racist, and
half
everyone
of
you
these
know
motherfuckers. Listen, man.
right.
Something. Let he not cast the first stone who has not sinned. Like,
Exactly, right.
like
Like, I can't in good faith, call those voice actors like racist, and you need to be held accountable, whatever that means, for laughing at a word that sounds like the N word. I
what's so
think.
what's so interesting, right?
I,
Sorry.
mhm.
is that at the same time, these people will idolize Newgrounds, right? These motherfuckers will
Uh-huh.
love. Newgrounds was the most phobic shit you could think of. Like, oh my god, like go to like any Newgrounds game before like what 20, like before FNF, like that shit was incredibly crazy, bro. And
Yeah, no.
it's so interesting where people will romanticize things because they're old and will just give them infinite amount of leeway. Listen, I would not want to be black in Newgrounds in like 2011, right?
Definitely
Like,
not.
right? I it's actually it's actually going to be a question I'm going to ask you about this. Speaking of Newgrounds, right? There's a lot of like
Mhm.
indie projects nowadays, yeah, because people are
Yeah.
inspired by glitch and all that, and I always keep seeing the fact that like they're consistently like inspired, or like you can clearly see like the Newgrounds inspiration from them, right? Specifically when it comes to stuff
Yeah.
like Ed's World and whatnot, right? Um, what's
Yeah.
what's your opinion on the whole thing? Because you were like one of like the people that are like that's one of the faces of modern Newgrounds.
I am. Oh, wow. Okay.
That's the imposter syndrome talking,
um
bro.
shit. Okay. I guess I'm the face of modern Newgrounds.
I
Take
said
it
one
as
of them. Chill out, chill out, chill out.
one of them. Okay. No, I mean, yeah, Newgrounds is still relevant. I know like before FNF, there's talks about, Newgrounds falling into obscurity, but it's weird how I always get into things like at the worst times, like at their lowest. Um like I got into Hamilton like right when it stopped showing. I got into Homestuck when it was at its most dead period. I got into freaking Newgrounds when Flash was dying.
Yeah.
So you can imagine like, oh damn, I want to make Flash games. I want to make all these Flash games, but I literally saw a post from 2017 Adobe saying like they're gonna depreciate Flash in like 3 years. I'm like, what the fuck? I
Fuck.
just got here. But yeah, I think yeah, Newgrounds is home, or at least the home for a lot of creatives. It's literally the founder of indie animation itself. I like to think. Actually, I just know. So it makes sense that a lot of people, making these indie cartoons, starting up these indie stuff, take inspiration from the founder of indie animation itself, Newgrounds. Um,
Well, you know, me, I'm like a pretentious art critic, so like I know a lot about indie animation, specifically when it comes to like the more theatrical stuff like Bakshi and Yankovic and just the general tradition of indie animation throughout the world before Newgrounds. But I do think that for a lot of
mm,
teenagers, especially a lot of teenagers nowadays, people are inspired by Newgrounds and people on YouTube that came from Newgrounds to make their own shit. Right.
that is true because maybe maybe I wouldn't say definitively Newgrounds was like the founder of indie animation, because animation as an art form has existed for centuries or decades. No, centuries, and they definitely did not have Newgrounds with the Zoetrope. So, but definitely web animation. It was definitely the home for web animation, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of indie shit skyrocketed due to web animation just because of how accessible it is.
Hmm.
Before, like a lot of indie films you could only see in like like film festivals or very very niche DVD burns. But yeah, a lot of people, a lot of indie creators grew up during the web generation, so they grew up with a bunch of Newground web cartoons, um, screen capped and ripped onto YouTube, and it's just very apparent. And a lot of the creators, I think, were also just older, more prolific Newground users as well. like Bipsy Pop, she has her roots on Newgrounds. Gooseworks has her roots on Newgrounds. Rubber Ross has his roots on Newgrounds.
Yeah.
It's very funny. Like I didn't realize it um until like I think like Rubber Ross. I was like, wait, yeah, like a lot of these indie people, they're just ex Newground people, and it's really fun to see that
Yeah.
like honeypot of creative inspiration just finally make its ways in the scene, especially with that Smiling Friends as well. That's pretty much the hashtag Newgrounds cartoon on television. So
Hmm. Yeah. So we're coming off on like an hour here. We're currently at like what 50 something minutes here. You have any like hot takes you want to say so I can clip them for, Twitter and whatnot?
hot takes.
Yep.
Um, it's gonna be really hard because I every time someone asks for my hot takes, I always forget them and I always remember them in the shower. But even still, I feel like they're so hot that I'll get in trouble for it now, but then like 10 years down the line when I'm like dead, everyone will be like, yo, he's low-key right. But
Ooh, that's really interesting.
let's see, hot takes. I'm looking around my room to see if I have any hot takes lying around.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Um, Lesbian Space Princess wasn't that bad. I think everyone was just overreacting. That's my hot take.
Oh, you know, you're probably right on that. Like, you're probably right on that.
Yeah,
Like, I'm gonna be 10 million with you. I haven't watched the movie, so I'm not gonna jump on the hate train. And I'm probably not
right,
gonna be watching the movie because I'm not interested in it. So,
right.
yeah. And the thing is, right, with hating shit like that, right? There's always a bit
Mm-hmm.
of ambiguity where it's like, do they not like the movie, or do they not like quear people? I don't know.
Right, right.
Like it's
And a
all
lot of
like that's
people
the
I
dilemma.
know, I know who have not I know like personally, but I just know that they haven't watched the movie because I watched the movie and it wasn't anything crazy. Um, but I think people were just, I guess, hating on the art style and the fact that it was called Lesbian Space Princess and the fact that it was airing the same time that Captain Underpants got taken off of Netflix or something.
I
So I'm
didn't.
sure there was some.
You know, it's crazy. I don't even think that was real. I don't even think that was real. Like, I think the thing is, right, for me personally, I just don't watch shit that I'm like not interested in, so I don't really like participate in hate trains.
Right.
Yeah. Um,
It just seems
Juvenile.
bandwagony, or it doesn't seem. It seems it's the opposite of integrity. It's the opposite of integrity.
Mm,
I always forget the word, but it's that, right? Because I can't hate on shit that I haven't seen personally. I can't,
yeah.
because if I watch it and it's good, then I feel like a freaking liar and an embarrassment.
Bozo. Yeah.
Exactly. So like
Yeah.
and a lot of it's funny because a lot of people who are hating it are never going to see the movie because if it is good, then they look like a liar and an embarrassment. So it's really
Exactly. Like,
funny.
why hate on something you never see? Speaking of, right, I'm going a little rant here. Right, I really hate
Go
like
for it.
internet criticism nowadays. Right, like whenever I hear the term bad writing, oh, you just like consume slop, right? Like you don't actually like
Right.
critically think about the media that you like claim to consume, right? Because writing
Right.
isn't just like one specific thing. Yeah, it's about the
Yeah.
tone, it's about the characters, specifically what are the motivations of the characters, the prose, do we know about the prose, what about the acting direction? Saying something has bad writing is like incredibly lazy, and I think that like
Yeah.
if you just say shit like that and just moronic shit like that, you probably should stick to just watching shit, not talking about shit. And I think that's one of the
Honestly,
worst aspects of the internet. Motherfuckers who have no right to be speaking about shit speak about shit all the fucking time.
it's true, and it's really annoying.
Yeah. But Alrighty, we're gonna close this off. Just if you're going to ask, well, that's one more question for you to ask, or one more question for you to answer. Apologies.
Okay.
Yeah, you have like any tips for any aspiring independent creators, especially if you're black?
Ooh, especially if you're black, listen to me and listen to me closely. It's
Mm,
very important that you hear this. Stay true to yourself and be the realest nigga you can be.
mm,
Please. Because if you coon around a little too much, they gonna get you, bro. They're gonna get you. I've seen it all too much. They're gonna get you. And they're gonna take you, they're gonna take from you, and you're gonna be left with nothing. You gotta protect yourself. You gotta protect your IP. You gotta protect your own dignity. You gotta protect your own integrity. When you see shit, when you see some wrong shit, you gotta say shit, right? Don't pretend. Don't weasel around. Don't talk behind nobody's back. You gotta say some shit, right?
mm.
Because the worst thing you can be in this white industry is a coon because it's over for you. It's over for you. Anyway, shout out Team Horizon, my boys. We're a bunch of black creatives also. So
Hey, let me join that
we pretty
shit. I'm
much
a black
parade that
creative.
message around. Yes, yes. We pretty much parade that message around our studio because it's very important that we stay true to ourselves because we don't have enough of ourselves in this industry. So it's very important.
Yeah. Alrighty, this was a great interview. I was glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much for having me.
of course, I mean, thank you. You're the one that has the bigger platform, so type shit.
Oh,
Um, so I just want to say thank you for the interview. If you could you like post it on YouTube so I can get that clout? Thanks, man.
post like a
Yeah,
promo saying like, hey,
yeah, post it on the promos, that type shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I got you. I'll throw you
Thanks,
retweet.
bruh.
Do a little post. Yeah, don't have to
Thanks,
worry.
bruh. Thanks, man. But yeah, thank you for the interview. I'll see you next time, and peace out.